Good morning, everyone. How you doing? Welcome to another live stream with me, your favorite roller coaster tycoon player. Maybe, maybe not. I was thinking of something funny to say, but I couldn't come up with anything. How are y'all doing? Oh, thank you for the 2 gifted subs. Felonious pedigrees. I'm not sure I've ever... No, I'm pretty sure I've gotten gifted subs during the intro once, probably from Slime. But it's definitely very fast, so maybe not the fastest, but thank you very much. So thank you. So how are you all doing? Had a good weekend? Hope you did. I certainly had. 1 full year. Oh, it says 11 months. So, I mean, technically you've bought it for a full year now, but it still takes a month until you complete it, I suppose. But thank you anyway, Cringe. Oh, for you it said 12 months at first. That's weird. Oh, thank you for the 5 gifted subs, Slime. Well, that's nerdy. Well, it's not quite a hype train yet, but it's getting close. No, wait, it is a hype train. Thank you. I was woken up at 6:30 by my cat screaming at me. He didn't want anything, he just wanted to yell. I mean, don't we all sometimes? Sometimes I just want to yell into the void, scream away my frustrations. Unfortunately, I do live alone, but I don't live alone in my building. And I don't want to upset the neighbors. So I'm not going to yell. I mean, at least not as loud as I can. You can yell with us, no problem. Imagine just me yelling top of my lungs now on a live stream. Not gonna do that. I see the new feature for OpenRCT2. The title screen coasters can be seen while moving. Yes, and I don't like it. I don't like the moving title screen bit. I prefer the static ones. You should soundproof your room. But that's a lot of money and a lot of effort. That's what pillows are for. I don't think I've ever screamed into a pillow. Maybe I should try it. Yeah, the moving title screen is just not right. It would be fine if it was slow pans, but because it's following a train, it doesn't really work for me at least. But that's, you know, that's just me and Slime. Maybe some people like it. I mean, the people who put it in there probably liked it. Anyway, what we're going to do today is a little scenario called the second trial of the 8th court of Diyu. Now, I'm not sure this is super difficult, even though I put this in the title of the stream. But I know that the 8th court of Diyu is an extremely difficult scenario, made by Fred, I believe. And this scenario is called the second trial of the 8th court of Diyu. I've never played the 8th court of Diyu, but I do have the scenario. Should be in expert parts. There we go. Yeah, 3,400 guests. No more than 700 at a time. This is the second trial. And let's see who made it. Someone called Beaker on my Discord server. So the goal is to build 10 coasters with at least 7 excitement. Now I know nothing. I just downloaded this 10 minutes ago. Literally a few minutes before I went live. And I know nothing about it. Other than that, it's a reference to the 8th court of Diyu. Displeased after finishing your task from Zhang Kui, which is from a previous scenario, Yama has presented a more difficult trial for you to complete to redeem your soul. You accept but worry what terrible tricks he has planned for you, based on the 8th court of Diyu by Fred. And the objective, well, we just went over that. Oh, and the minimum length of 1 kilometer. Oh yes, that as well. Fun fact, Diyu is the realm of the dead, or hell in Chinese mythology. It's loosely based on a combination of the Buddhist concept of Naraka, traditional Chinese belief about the afterlife, and a variety of popular expansions and reinterpretations of these two traditions. Quite interesting. Thank you for the follow, Jury DG. Alright, let's take a look. Okay, well, there we have some Chinese imagery. Drink some water, I'll do it in a minute. So, okay, that's a lot of lava and a lot of fire and quite a small park. I'm gonna need the water. Otherwise, I will burn to death. So, there's the entrance here. Okay, we charge for the entrance. I have no plugins, by the way. I've disabled all of them, so that I don't have any help from that. Let's take a look at the scenario. Okay, we can't advertise. That was predictable. Let me guess. Harder gas generation, harder park rating is also enabled. Yes, and we can't change the landscape. We can remove trees. Thank God. I really bloody hate it when I can't remove trees. And I can build tall. Thank God for that as well. Yeah, you can't drown guests because this is a difficult scenario. And so I disabled all the ones that are going to make it more difficult for me. Because I don't know how difficult this is going to be. Oh, we actually have both. Paper and park, paper ride. Interesting. So, do we have a cash machine? We don't start out with one. Okay, I quickly want to see how long does it take to get the cash machine. If we get it. So I'm going to restart this, obviously, after this. But I just want to try. Also, what else do we have? Okay, some decent water rides. Launched freefall. Some decent coasters. No gentle rides. And one transport ride. Do we have cash machine yet? I don't think we're gonna get it. But I'll just keep it going for a bit. In the meantime, let's look at some more scenario options. Okay, they prefer more intense rides. Good to know. Now, it looks like we're not gonna get it. No. Well, yes, actually. Wait, 15 average per guest? Okay, so you get the cash machine on the 18th of July. Problem is the loan. Can we... Okay, so I have an idea. To quickly get the cash machine. So yeah, is it... Hang on, is it true that we only start... I'll just spawn a bunch of guests. Where are they? Are they there? Okay, yeah. 15, 15, 5. 5. 15, 35. Okay, between 5 and 35. Oh, thank you for the 1,000 bits, Valonius Pedigrees. Well, I might have already figured out how to start. So, we're gonna restart, obviously. Because we just cheated in some guests. We're only gonna charge for the rides. But what I'm going to do is because I have plenty of cash. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pay back the loan as far as I can. And then I'm just going to go for maximum funding. And, well, there we go. Now we pay as little in interest as possible. I'm just gonna wait until I have the cash machine. I'll still have plenty of money left because I can borrow 20k more than I currently have. So that will be fine. And then we can build some launched freefalls because they are overpowered. And make some money. Also, someone asked if I could just... if I could just make half the guests disappear like I did in my last video. The answer is no. Okay, we're gonna need to launch free falls quick to make money. Because this is crazy interest. The answer is no, you can't do that. Because I can't alter the landscape. And we're not on a hill. So I can't push them into the void. Okay, first order of business, obviously. I'm gonna build right here a cash machine. Then, what we're going to do is we're going to take... escape hatch is quite a good design. Okay, we have like... I presume we can buy land. We have like, at the moment, 0. Like almost no land available. Okay, that's that built. And then... just gonna build... Okay, it doesn't need to be that fast. Like, it doesn't need to be microsecond fast. Okay, I know we can charge 15 for this. Because from speedrun experience. Might microcoaster spam work? Well, launch freefall spam is much more overpowered. If you want to make money. So that's what we're going to do instead of microcoaster spam. There we go. And then... like that. Oh. There we go. And we're gonna make this... nope. There we go. Open. And... where to build this one? Okay, if I just... build it like... oh, that just about doesn't fit. Okay, so I'll just build it here. And go like that. Okay. Okay, that's 3 already. And 15 for this one as well. Now, of course, we're gonna need one of these. And I'll put one of these as well. Just so that the rides keep working. Is 3 enough? I mean, I can build a lot more still. So, yeah, let's build more. Okay. I just need to be finished before we need to pay loan interest again. Okay, that's a good shot. Supports don't matter. Because they are literally free on this ride. You don't pay anything for supports. For path, obviously, they do matter. Okay, I'm gonna charge 15 for that. And then let's build another one. 5 of these. I know that with 9 you can make like about 10k a month. So 5 should be 5k at least. Which should be plenty to not crumble under the loan interest. Okay, now currently we're not moving towards the goal at all, which is build 10 coasters. First, we just need to make a park that makes money. So we're gonna build another one. Also, the harder gas generation doesn't matter at the moment because, well, that only kicks in above 1,000 guests. And we're not anywhere near that. Let's make this a full circle. Oops. Oh, just... I kind of wanna... Do we need food stalls? I have a cash machine. That's the most important. I'll worry about food stalls later, I think. Oh god, I can't even make this a full... Okay, I need to remove this and put it there. Okay. I can do food stalls now. There. And the info kiosk. And of course $20 umbrellas. Okay, this park... Oh, crap. Forgot to open one of them. This park should make money. And lots of it. No, not 20. 15. Well, we can build another one. Name the tallest freefall food stall. They're all equally tall. They're literally all the same design. Or do you mean the one that's built highest up? And the last one. Well, most highest up would be this one. Food stall. Well, I think that's about everything. We're gonna be in the negative soon. So, don't forget to turn off inventions. That's a good one. That was literally the last shop and stall we got, the cash machine. Okay, we're almost in the negatives. I think I can just about afford a toilet. There we go. Now we have a toilet as well. Just to make it a little bit more easier on myself, I'm gonna hire 3 more handymen. You're lucky that you don't have a timed goal. Yeah. Quite. Although doing this with a timed goal would be pretty much impossible. It's already gotten 3 customers. Yeah, I am from the land of the Dutch. Okay, let's fast forward a bit. This is free, right? Yes. We only pay 976 in loan payments. No, wait, that's not true. That was just 1 extra loan payment. Okay, we pay 2,400 in loan payments per month. That should not be the biggest of deals. Once we get a few more guests. And we're already getting a few more guests. I do really like baguettes. I do like thick, long baguettes. I strive to be as good at well, hopefully you strive to be better than what I just did. I strive to be as good at German as Marcel is at English. So basically that's about A1 level. No, C1. It goes up. C is the best. I don't think I'm quite C2, but probably somewhere between C1 and C2. Okay, we are making money, which is good. We actually turn a profit. You know, it would be a fun mechanic if people have to pee too badly and there are no toilets or they're too expensive. They'll do it on the path, like they puke on the path, except if you have guards around, they'll not do it instead. The max price they're willing to pay in the actual toilets goes up. Yeah, I'm not sure if guests actually peeing on the path would be a good thing for a child-friendly game. Do you have any recommendations on learning materials to learn German? Now, to start, there's probably a lot of basic stuff like Duolingo and all kind of online courses and whatnot. Ooh, umbrellas. But I, you know, in the first and second year of high school, I got just about passing grades on English. Okay, how much did we make from the rain? Only a few hundred. You probably lost more on that from guests not going on the rides. But then, in my second year, my English grade started going up by about 2 points out of 10 on average. Why? Because I started watching YouTube. in the summer between year 2 and 3. So basically, my advice is that once you have a basic level of German, start going on German websites, start watching German YouTubers, all that kind of stuff. Start interacting with German media. Read Harry Potter in German. All that stuff. Let's pay back the loan. Yeah, playing games in German. I once played Pokemon Y in French and it was terrible. Because I can't read French. I'm not a beginning learning, so I've started playing Stardew Valley in German and browsing German meme Reddit, and it taught me a lot of new words. Yeah, I think if you're not already watching German YouTubers, that's the thing to do. Okay, this almost feels like too easy. Doing it this way. I haven't even built a custom ride yet. This is just escape hatch without all the scenery. Although building the coasters might be difficult. Let's start researching some coasters. How did you learn good English? I mean, basically the internet. Of course, school helped, definitely. Especially, you know, proper grammar rules. I'm not saying I didn't learn any English at school. I learned quite a bit of English at school. But the 4 hours or whatever. Why is my park rating so low? Is it overcrowding? Is it puke? Hang on. Oh, it's a lot of litter. Well, I can just hire more handymen. I have plenty of cash. Did that help? Oh, it's the 5 months are over. The rides are too expensive. You know, all the grammar rules and whatever. But the problem is, you have English. I had English for about probably like 4 or 5 hours a week, maybe. If you include all the homework. And that's just not enough to learn a language. There's a reason that... hang on. There we go. There's a reason that, you know, after 6 years of German or 6 years of French especially, they don't expect you to be anywhere near fluent. It's because most people that have German or French in high school only really interact with it in school for those few hours a week and a bit of homework. And maybe every now and then they might go on holiday once a year for a week or so. And then still mostly speak Dutch with their parents. So that's why you need to be actively engaged with to properly learn it. And with English, at least in the Netherlands, that's very easy. Because, you know, when I was 14, 15, I watched shows like iCarly, Victorious, fantastic shows. They were not dubbed, they were subbed. So from that I learned English as well. And of course the internet, started going on forums, started watching English YouTubers. Now, first like Smosh, Ray William Johnson, Jack's Films, The Fine Brothers, stuff like that. It's all in English, without any subs. I mean, they probably have, but I never turned them on. And video games, well, I mean, I've been playing video games in English for a very long time. I even played a video game in French once. We accidentally bought Age of Empires 3 in French. Which might be a reason we never really liked it, because we couldn't really learn how to play it well. You need some kind of basic understanding before that works. Thank you for the follow, by the way. Salonizlu. Cody Santos and Straight Smoke. Yeah, the translation might be good, Carrie. Like, French Age of Empires might have been good. I don't know, I don't speak French. And I especially didn't speak French back in the day. But if you don't speak it, it doesn't work. If you, like, don't speak it at all. So, what are we at currently? We have a lot of money. We have 19k. We have no loan. We are making a lot of money a month. So what's our status? Well, let's see. We need to finish building 10 coasters. Well, we need to research a lot. All of these are easy, though. Alright, I know why I clicked on the entrance. Because we need to buy land. Okay, we can buy plenty. How expensive? Only 40. I expected it to be more expensive. I had a 5 on high school. My English was bad. But now I can speak it fluently due to streamers. It worked for me better to play games and watch streamers to learn English properly. Well, yeah, as I said, for me too. I used to get like a 6 on average on English. And I went up to an 8 once I started learning it on YouTube and stuff like that. Although not with the intent to learn English. I just started watching YouTube because entertainment. And started, you know, going on Pokemon websites when 2013, 2014 was a few years later. Because I wanted to. And, you know, chat rooms and stuff. Those chatting websites. Chat about Pokemon and whatnot. You know, I learned a lot there. But I also said school was still incredibly useful for learning proper rules. You know, learning proper grammar rules and stuff. I believe school is very important for that. You don't need it to learn English. But it's still very important. Okay, we need it to be 1 kilometer long. This is only 357 meters. Is Dragster is only 586. God, 1 kilometer of this is very long. 3 laps, that doesn't work. The length is always of 1 lap. Maybe it's better to start with a different coaster. Although actually, if we want to make proper money, maybe this scenario wasn't as difficult as I thought. So if we want to make proper money, we can just do this. Go 1. I might need to buy some more land. Also, the land might be... No, it's not. Okay, so we don't actually need... Yeah, we only need 4 tiles. That is 3. Photo section. Test. Okay, let's charge 30. Oh, yeah, alright, I can't set it above 20. Only the right price manager can do that, but we're not using that right now. This is still all just to make money. Nothing else. Does this connect? It doesn't. That does. And open. There we go. Thank you for the 23 months, Zork. After about 20 minutes of trying to log into my Twitch account on my new operating system, resetting my old email and old Twitch account because I got the username wrong, realizing my mistake and trying to get access to this account and having to reset my password again because I forgot my password, I can finally use Twitch and watch Marcel. Well, welcome. I hope you have a good time after having to go through all that. Do you like cooked or grilled meat more? Yeah, either is fine. Meat is meat, am I right? Honestly, right now I could just fast forward. Buy a lot of land, plop down a few pre-builds and win. This scenario is not difficult. It just isn't. I mean, if you know what you're doing, it's not difficult. Just because making money is so easy if you can charge for the rides. Looping coaster. Cool. Well, I mean, let's complete it anyway. Oh, Zork was actually the first sub? Oh yeah, it says that. Yeah, it's a shame I don't see you here more often, Zork. I'm always glad to see you here. Let's build a path around it. Not that way. It's probably difficult if you don't know about the free fall trick. Probably. But then again, that goes for a lot of things. You know, it's difficult if you don't know how to do it. I might not have much time anymore to watch Marcel streams, but I will stay subscribed for as long as I can. I thank you for the support. Okay, so story time. You guys know I am busy with a lot of speed skating statistics, right? I love, you know, researching them, compiling lists, all that good stuff. Have a drink of water, alright. So, do you guys know who Thomas Krol is? Some of the Dutch people actually might. So let's see if someone knows. Yeah, speed skater. I mean, obviously, duh. But what's special about him? Olympic champion, yes. He's currently the reigning Olympic champion. He won in February this year the 1000 meters in Beijing. He's a great speed skater. Got second in the 1500 meters as well. It's very good. Now, yes, Friday, someone called Vincent de Hetre, who's a French-Canadian, well, a Quebec speed skater, so, you know, from the French part of Canada. He skated the 3000 meters, just as a training competition, and he started off way too fast. In fact, his first 600 meters, even his first 1000 meters, was the fastest ever skated on the 3000 meters. And then he totally collapsed and skated some very slow laps at the end, because he couldn't keep up the pace. Now, I tweeted about that, and as a result, Thomas Krol DM'd me, asking me if I had any statistics for the fastest 1000 meter split times on the 3000 meters ever skated. And why does he want to know that? Well, he thinks that his 1000 meter split, which he skated when he skated his personal best back in 2017, would make the top 10. Now, I did not have the statistics, because I didn't really do statistics for the 3000 meters men, because it's not really an official distance. It's never skated in like the World Cup or the World Championships. But it's often skated for training purposes. And like the official world record was skated back in 2005, because the near ones all don't officially count and all that kind of stuff. But because he asked and I was interested anyway, I decided to make statistics. So my entire day yesterday was spent looking up the best times for the 3000 meters for men and compiling those lists. And then I got back to him about probably 5 or 6 hours after he asked me. And I was like, yes, you're indeed in third place, both in the 600 meters and the 1000 meter split. And your opening lap was the second fastest lap ever skated. The fastest lap ever skated was done yesterday or 2 days ago now. Actually, we can make this ultra steep. And the fastest 600 and 1000 meters were also skated yesterday. And the second place was skated by Chad Hedrick. All the way back in 2005. Some of you might know who Chad Hedrick is. Now, that's not all. The problem was that for the later lists of like the 2200 and 2600 meter passages, I was missing some crucial data. Because back in the Corona season, which was the winter of 2020-2021, we had a really short season. And, you know, only a few competitions. But to practice, the skaters had some practice sessions in Tialf Heerenveen. But those weren't entirely legal. Because of Corona restrictions, they weren't allowed to have those practice sessions, but they wanted to anyway. So they still kind of did, but they couldn't really be published. Now the problem is that during one of those practice sessions, 3 skaters, Sven Kramer, Patrick Roest and Bart Swings, who's Belgian, the former other two are Dutch, skated a very fast 3000 meters. Including Patrick Roest, second time ever, and a new Dutch record. And Sven Kramer and Bart Swings also skated a top 10 time. So I don't have that data, and it's clear from their very fast times that they would be in the top 10. So what do? I asked Thomas Krol, because he was in the same he's in the same team as Patrick Roest and Sven Kramer. Hey, your teammates skated there, and they're very fast. They skated very fast times. Do you perhaps have the lap times and split times laying around somewhere? Because those weren't published, because they weren't technically allowed. And about an hour later or so, he's like, yeah, here you go. Just casually. It's amazing. And I've been wanting to see those split times for a while now. Ever since they were skated, basically. And I would never guess that I would be getting those actual times from him, an Olympic champion. And that's quite cool. It's also funny, he, when he first asked me the question, he did it in English. He didn't know I was Dutch, because I only tweet in English. Although sometimes in the replies I will tweet in Dutch, but not my own tweets. But of course I replied in Dutch, because that is just easier. Yeah, he's a very nice guy. I always knew he was interested in statistics. Because from his interviews, it was clear that he knew a lot about, lap times, his own times, and differences, and all that stuff. But it's very cool to have him just ask you personally if you have some statistics, and help you out by giving some lap times that technically weren't allowed to be published. Yeah, that's my speed skating Twitter account. You can see a couple of my last tweets are about 3000 meter men. Alright. That is a Giga Coaster. Now, I expect to have some more interactions like that the coming season. Because I have, I had a few of those the last season. And I'll probably have some, I'll tweet about a lot of statistics again this season. And it's a lot of fun to actually, a lot of speed skaters are on Twitter. And a lot of them that are active are just, nice, normal people there. And it's fun to interact with them. It helps that speed skaters aren't some massive celebrities like, Cristiano Ronaldo or something. Because it's a bit of a smaller sport. Okay, let's charge 15 for this. Let's also lower these all to 10, because I'm gonna have to do that soon anyway. One of these I didn't properly click, I think. There we go. It's also funny, when I tweeted about Vincent de Hetre, I tagged him. And then he followed me. And I also tweeted 2 weeks ago about Yvonne Blondin, another Canadian speed skater from Quebec. And then she also followed me. So that's a lot of fun. And it's just really simple stuff. You know, I don't just tweet about some kind of obscure list or whatever. I also tweet about current happenings. You know, Blondin has skated a new personal best on the 500 meters. In September, which is very early in the season. That rarely happens. Well, not rarely, but, you know, not very often. So I tweeted about it. So, well done. And it's fun. So this guy that plays Roller Coaster Tycoon is now my statistician. Do you have those times from the last season that were actually illegal? He needs them. Yeah, basically. That's basically what happens. Thomas Cole probably doesn't know that I, you know, play Roller Coaster Tycoon. He might have heard of my channel. He might have heard of some things. He does seem like a guy that would have heard of it. He's only a few years older than me, so he probably played Roller Coaster Tycoon when he was young. It would be interesting if he knows about my channel, but doesn't know that we are the same person. What if he's in chat now? That would be amazing. I did think about that, because obviously I knew I was going to tell this story today. And I was like, that would be cool. Obviously very unlikely. Thank you, Slime. Okay, so we have this Giga Coaster, and it's the first... Wait, it's not long enough. I thought this was 1 kilometer long. Apparently, it's not. Alright, back to the draw... Well, not back to the drawing board. Let's just extend it. You're actually the speed skater's name you've already forgotten. Imagine that. Friend of mine was a very promising speed skater. Too bad he quit. Didn't we talk about that before? Might have been someone else, but there was someone in the chat who talked about a friend or family member of them who was a very promising speed skater. Or at least participated in some kind of national competition. Maybe not. Who was it? If they were, you know, if they participated in the Dutch Championships, I might know them. May also not. Don't think it was me. Well, if you're willing to say the name, I'm very curious. With know them, obviously I don't mean personally. But I mean having heard of them. Hang on, what was the message? Just a breaking down. Okay, we're going around one more time and it should be long enough then. Down. I also knew someone only for juniors, got medals on the European Championships for the youth, then got too many injuries so he quit it. I'm pretty sure that a European Junior Championships for long track speed skating doesn't exist. Maybe you mean short track speed skating? I don't know. I don't really know much about short track speed skating. Obviously, you know, I know the big names, but I don't really watch it. Let's just make the station longer. Also, put a photo section here. He doesn't want his name out anymore, so I will not share it, but he was 15 when he quit like... Oh, if he was 15 when he quit 10 years ago, I have no idea who he is. Yeah. No, then sharing his name wouldn't do anything because I don't know him anyway. I was more thinking of him being like 17, 18, quite promising. About 5 years ago I might know his name. But no. Nope, but the distances are different. Instead of 1 kilometer, just 800 meters and so. I have never heard of the 800 meter distance. Are you sure? I mean, you probably are. Hang on. Speed skating. Let's just go with Dutch. Schaatsen. Let's see what I can find. I do see an European champion inline skating. I literally can't find anything about the European Championship for juniors for long track speed skating. Only inline skating. But like the 800 meters distance is a distance that doesn't exist. It's never skated as far as I know. Like you have the 100 meters, a 200 meters which is rarely skated but it exists. You have a 300 meters which is skated a bit more often, it's part of the super sprint. Then you have the 500 meters. 400 meters as well. But that's also very rarely skated. Then you immediately skip 600. Well, 600 does exist. Then you have 700, but 800 doesn't. Did your Giga make it to 1 kilometer? I hope it did. Yeah, 1174. Thank you for the 5 months, Casimat. So I did look my friend up and his stats are still viewable online, which is kind of cool. Oh yeah. Like, I have a friend who competes on like the club level. So, you know, whereas the going back to the 3000 meters, I believe his personal best is like 5 minutes 10 or something. You know, the world record for men is 3:34. So, you know, about that kind of level, which is definitely a good speed skater compared to your average Dutch recreational speed skater, but not anything near the, you know, top of the Netherlands or top of the world or anything. He's more of a sprinter anyway. But, yeah, I can find his games online as well. His competitions, his times. And even his lap times. Which is pretty cool. Call the Giga Chat. Alright. I like that subreddit, the Giga Chat subreddit. The current most promising junior skater of the Netherlands is Angel Daleman. She has a very cool name. But other than that, she's 15. And yesterday she skated a 1:58 on the 1500 meters. Which is very fast for... In fact, it's the fastest ever skated by a 15-year-old or younger. So, she's pretty great. Of course, the times are nothing compared to the top of the world yet. She's still 15. So she has quite a few years to still develop and get better. World record is 1:49.83 for women. So yeah, it's about 9 seconds above the world record. But she is 15. Thank you for the sub, Dutch Terminator 7. And as I said, it's the fastest ever skated by a 15-year-old. So she's very promising. And she skated 4:17 on the 3000 meters today, which is not as spectacular, but still a personal best. And I hope she continues to develop. Of course, there is... You have that in all kind of sports, right? Sometimes someone who's really young stands out and does particularly well, but sometimes after that they stagnate. Which might happen because of all their physical development, you know, puberty and stuff. Might happen a little bit earlier than average, compared to maybe some other developments that happen earlier than average. So that means that they still have the same, might have the same development as someone else, they just do it earlier. Which means they develop slower later. And I hope, on one hand, I hope that doesn't happen to her, because that means she's really going to be really great. On the other hand, I do hope, otherwise she's going to be terrifyingly great. Drink some water, alright. One thing you do need to compare it though, the world record on the 1500 meters is 149, but the world record on a low altitude rink is only 152. Because the altitude makes a big difference, and Angel did skate it on a low altitude rink. And the track record on the rink she skated it at is only 153. 153.10 to be precise. So she's a lot closer to that. Yeah, it wasn't T11 indeed. Track record still held by Irene Wust. This is an expensive coaster to build. Oh, I don't have the cash. We are making him really good money. Everything is low altitude in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands it is, yeah. But for example, Calgary, where like Vincent de Hetre skated, you know, with the fast start on the 3000 meters, is at about 1100 meters up in the mountains, which makes it a high altitude track. Anything above 500 meters is considered high altitude. And the differences are really pronounced in times that you get. And Salt Lake City is one of the highest rinks in the world at 1435 meters, I believe. And it also holds all the world records of the 10 testicle distances. And then you have Urumqi in China, which is about 1700 meters tall, which is in the Xinjiang province. About 1700 meters up. But only ever, you know, Chinese national competitions have been skated there. And they are only really good at the moment at the men's sprint, because they have one amazing skater called Tingyu Zhao, Olympic champion 500 meters. So yeah, the times there, the 500 meter time is great, very close to the world record, but the other times aren't. Doesn't Denmark have a lower average elevation? I don't know. I do know that the maximum elevation of Denmark is only slightly above half of that of the Netherlands, with 171 meters. But Urumqi is not the highest rink in the world. I believe the highest rink in the world is Butte, which would be in Idaho, USA. I believe that's like a dozen or so a few dozen meters higher up than Urumqi. Okay, is this a kilometer long? I think it will be, but I'm not entirely sure. Well, the Netherlands is slightly lower. They should put one in Lhasa and see how that affects competition. Terribly. There's a balance to be struck. Because at very high altitudes, like Calgary and Salt Lake City, you already sometimes get oxygen problems on the longer distances, like the 10K. In fact, I said Salt Lake City holds all the world records. That's not true. The 10K world record, I forgot for a minute, was set at the Olympic Games in Beijing, very close to sea level. Because on the 10K it makes a very small difference. Okay, what do we get? 1161 meters, good. What's the objective? The objective is I need to build 10 coasters with 700 meters, or 7 excitement and 1000 meters of length. But that's not the difficult part. The difficult part is making money. The problem is I cracked it already and it's not really difficult anymore. The start was very difficult if you don't know what to do. What country is the highest average elevation? Bhutan. Lowest average elevation? Maldives. Right? Bhutan, average elevation of slightly over 3,000 meters. And lowest average elevation... Well, Maldives' highest elevation is 4 meters. So the lowest elevation, the average elevation is probably like 2 meters, something, 1 meter. How do you know that? General interest. And you learn things. Ah, we needed this. This makes some really good money. Ah, I guess no longer paying. Oh yes, they are paying. It's just not popular enough. They can't afford it half the time. Okay, let's build some more stalls here. Purple shirts. I was gonna sing Purple Rain, but then I realized I have actually no idea how Purple Rain goes. So that doesn't work. And we're rich again. Still nowhere enough money, because we still need to buy all the land. If you had to live in a park that you built, which one would it be? Probably something nice, like one of the mega parks or the Mel's World, but beautiful. Something like that. You live about 300 meters above sea level. I live probably about 10 meters above sea level. I do know that if the dikes would break, I would not be underwater. But only just about. Oh, we've researched all the coasters. Oh. Okay. Does anyone know what this means? Can anyone figure it out? What the... Gotta make a hardline twister. With 7 excitement. Which is actually... not that difficult with the recent change to the stats of the hardline twister. But still. You don't get the corkscrew. Yes, I do. This is the corkscrew. It's a Chinese dragon train. Hardline got buffed. Unfortunately. Well, for this challenge, not unfortunately. If this was before the buff, I'm pretty sure it would be impossible. But this challenge was created after the buff. And therefore, I think it's tricky, but doable. Let's just quickly see. Can I build this? Land not... Oh, screw it. I'm just gonna buy some land. I'm rich anyway. Oh, I can even buy all the water. Well, not all the water, but a lot of it. Okay, now I've ran out of money again. Let's see. So this says about 270. How much do we get? 462. So it's totally doable. You're about 455 meters above sea level. That's almost high altitude according to speed skating. So, about those high altitude rinks. There's one in Urumqi, as I said, which is very high altitude. About 1700 meters up. Problem is, it's in the Jiangxing province. And the Jiangxing province is, you know, all the Uyghurs, or however you pronounce that. You know, the political troubles in China, let's just call it that. So the chance that we're gonna get like an international big championship there is very small. And on one hand, I would love to have it there, because fast times and stuff. On the other hand, politically, I don't know if it's responsible to currently hold a championship there. But they did say, damn it, what's the word? they did, you know, say they want to organize a few championships in the future. Nominate themselves for the championships in the future. For like 2025, 2026, like the World All-Round Championship, stuff like that. So maybe we'll get a championship there. Apply. Yes, apply. Thank you. It's so stupid when you forget words like that. And that also indicates that my English is not on my Dutch level. Which is obvious. I'm not native. I don't live in England. Or an English-speaking nation. The other nice thing is that there's one country currently that is looking into building a speed skating rink at a very, very high altitude. Probably like 1700, 1800, maybe 2000 meters. And that would be great. I want to see what's possible there. It's fantastic. The problem is, it's Russia. Which is about the most politically problematic country at the moment. So on the one hand, I love it. Because Russians are known for building very high quality ice skating rinks. Generally quite fast rinks as well. You know, like Kolomna is probably their best rink. Has some really good track records from past championships. You know what, let's just start with the hardline. But yeah, it's Russia. That's not gonna happen at the moment. Russian skaters can't even participate in international competitions. Of course, it's only currently, you know, they're currently only looking at for a location. So, by the time that rink is finished, if it even gets built, we're probably at least 5 years out, if not more. And by that time, things might have changed. High quality and Russia aren't words are here in the same sentence. Well, in terms of ice skating rinks, they're really up there. They have a lot. They have the most covered, you know, indoor ice skating rinks after the Netherlands. And they recently built a new one in Irkutsk, which I believe had its first competition last year. And they have one in Chelyabinsk, one in Moscow, one in Kolomna, a disused one in Sochi for the Olympic Games in 2014, which was also really fast. So they're really good at it, and they have generally one of the broadest, not one of the best, you know, if you're looking at a very broad level, they're one of the best skating nations in the world. I think only beaten by the Netherlands and Japan. So they could really put it to good use. And you know, if we have an international competition there, like a World Cup to start with, maybe like a big championship later, it would be lovely. Problem is, it's Russia at the moment. But for the future, that would be lovely. Lovely. How many covered rinks does the Netherlands have? I don't know, like 8 or so. I know there's one in Utrecht, Breda, Tilburg, Leeuwarden, Heerenveen, Hoorn. There used to be one in Assen. Den Haag, yes, as well. The Uithof, I believe. The one in Groningen, Kardingen, is sort of mostly covered. It counts as semi-covered. Alright, can't lower land. Well, let's go up there. Oh, I can't lower land. That means I can't go in the ground. If I can't change the land. That might become a problem. I don't know if I can go above here. Well, I'll just change that if necessary. You've been on the one in Utrecht. Nice. I've been on the one in Assen, which doesn't exist anymore. And on the one in Groningen. And then there's quite a few which have no roof as well. For example, je hebt Edebaan in Amsterdam, Eindhoven, Geleen, which is going to get a roof. In Lottenband, it used to be in Dronten. Oh yeah, we used to have one there as well. Used to be so many. Do you like curling? I don't give a crap about curling. I do find it, whenever it's on like the Olympics or whatever, I do find it interesting to watch for 2 seconds. Okay, yeah, I can't go over this, which is annoying. But other than that, no. I'm not interested in it. Okay, let's make this as tall as I can. So we're going to go to 33. Oh, this doesn't quite match up, does it? Hang on. Oh. I need to be one further back. There we go. That's the ticket. Thank you for the 8 months. Alextremo to the max. Cool name. For winter sports, I love the biathlons. Where they shoot targets and ski. Super cool. Personally, I don't really watch any sport apart from long track speed skating and occasionally short track speed skating. You know, I might watch like a big soccer game or whatever. You know, if I'm at home and it's on, I might tune in for a little bit. And there are some sports that I like watching on occasion. You know, if tennis is on, I'll watch. But there's no sport I actually care about except speed skating. Yeah, Top Gear had a winter sports special, which was their first special. And I actually have a gripe with that. Because at some point they have it, I believe a Jaguar, at least some kind of car, do a race with a speed skater on a 400-meter track. The speed skater in question was Eskil Ervik, which is funny because he is the official world record holder still for the 3,000-meter men, which circles back nicely to what started the speed skating conversation. And obviously Eskil Ervik won because he's a speed skater and has actual grip on the ice as opposed to the car. But then they say that in the corners he is going at speeds up to 40 miles an hour. That's not true. That's not how speed skating works. The fastest speed skater ever, Pavel Kulishnikov, reached the top speed of about 62.5 kilometers per hour. On the 500 meters. Eskil Ervik was doing a longer distance and he was going like at a leisurely pace. He was maybe doing 45 kilometers per hour. Not 40 miles an hour, which is 64 kilometers an hour. So he was probably doing more like maybe 30 max. That was some very incorrect misinformation. Okay, I think this is going to be too extreme, but who knows. And yes, I've been to many speed skating races. The first one was the European All-Round Championships in 2009, I believe. With my mom. I've been to all of them with my mom. Sometimes also with other people, but all of them at least with my mom. And I've been to around one every year up until about 2016, 2017. I really like watching from home now, but I do plan to maybe go with some friends to the World Championships this year, which are in Heerenveen. I like watching from home because you get all the times immediately in a, well, much easier to digest. And I can immediately tweet about all my lists and stuff. Okay, 558 and intensity of 936. Let's add another inversion then. Is your mom a big speed skating fan as well? Yes, she was the one that got me into it. When I was about 10, the Olympics were on. Well, we were having a little holiday in February. In Hellevoetsluis, which is a city in the Netherlands. And the Olympics were on. And they had little TV there. So we watched the Olympics there. And that's the first I remember watching. Although not quite. It's not actually the first. Because I remember watching Jochem Uitdagen. No, watching Carl Verheijen finishing a race. And then when he was still had some speed after the race, he accidentally skated into the back of Jochem Uitdagen, who was already ready, standing on the ice for his race, which was immediately after Carl Verheijen's race. But I later found out that happened at the European Championships of 2006, which was about a month before the Olympics. So I thought I started watching at the Olympics, but clearly I watched that as well, which was a month earlier. Okay, now it's time to do some decoration and stuff here. But, I started watching around 2006. And then, I always knew times and stuff better than Mom, because, she's not great at remembering stuff like that. And then in 2018, around the Olympics, I found a speed skating forum, literally called schaatsforum.nl. So that literally translates to speedskatingforum.nl. And I found a lot of like-minded people that were really into statistics. And so was I as well. And then I really got into it. That forum is incredibly active during big games. During the Olympics, you can, during big races, you can probably, get like multiple messages a minute on the forum, which is really nice. And then about 2 years later, I really got into speed skating statistics. And I started compiling a lot of them. Which is like about 1 year. It was about January 2021. Okay, we're already at 6. Not bad. Okay, we need some more though. How much data do you have right now on speed skating? Thousands. Stay hydrated. Yeah, I should. I have literally thousands of data points. Now I'm working on like a much bigger database, but work on that is a little bit slow, which has hundreds of thousands of data points. But like if you just use my top 10 lists, so top 10 fastest passages on this distance, on this passage, on low altitude or including high altitude, stuff like that. If you combine everything, well, just the 10k, it has 25 passages. And if you then do, so the 25, they all are a top 10. And let's see, where's a good position? Okay, there's a good position for some loops. They all are a top 10. And then you have passages and lap time, so it's times 2, so that's already 500. Then you have low altitude and anything goes, basically. So that's another times 2. So that's already 1,000 data points for just the 10k. Then you have, of course, the 5k, which has another 520 data points. The 5k women, which has another 520 data points, plus some more. You know, all distances have more than just that. Need to be lower. Then I have different lists of like combinations of distances skated, fastest national records, fastest track records. So probably like some like 5,000-6,000 data points, which are all manually collected. Thank you for the 17 months, Praetor Phoenix. I love how many of your streams just become a speed skating discussion over RCT gameplay. So do I, and I hope you all are enjoying it, but considering the amount of viewers, it looks like you are. But yeah, my speed skating database and just knowledge of lap times is massive. Like, I'm honest, if I think that there is not a single person in the world who knows more about speed skating lap times, you know, across all different distances by heart than I do. And I could be fairly certain that I'm at least in the top 10 most knowledgeable people on Earth. Yeah, I actually had to build a hard line. And I'm currently trying to get this to 7 excitement. Well, we're not far away now. Okay, time to do some of that. There we go. Yep, path bonus. 751, that should be higher. There we go, 665. And of course we need some path just next to it. And some path directly below it. Huh, that's good timing. Yeah, only the excitement updates live. Actually, do we have the sync? Yeah, we do have the sync enabled. Actually, the intensity also updates live, but only for the synchronizing stations option. Nothing else. Like, if I retest it now, it might have over 10 intensity. Okay, come on. There we go. Just 2100 more to go. And I know exactly where to get it. Whee! Alright, and I'm above there, right? Nope, I'm not aligned. There we go, much better. Okay, and I'll do a few of these. Maybe I missed it, but I thought all coasters need a minimum length of 1... Oh. Crap. Well, I can fix that. After I do this. You're absolutely right. Okay, let's just give it a bunch of useless length at the end. Okay, we're gonna need to get rid of that. And lower transfer. And lower transfer. And low transfer. I think this actually lowers the intensity cringe. Because of the lower average speed. Won't this hurt the excitement? It's longer, but also lower average speed. So it's probably about... Probably makes it a little bit higher. Oh, right. This doesn't work. Okay, is this long enough? Only one way to find out. Still have a little bit... Still extend it a little bit more. Let's just hope this is long enough. It is! And the excitement had risen. Now just a little bit of puff. And that will do it. Okay. No, still one more. And just like that. Let's remove all the unnecessary path. Are we there yet? We are there yet. Nice. We did it, Reddit. Let's remove a little bit of this unnecessary stuff. 7.08. Nice. This is a terrible hardline coaster. Oh, we are rich. Let's buy some more land. Why don't you use the loops to build another coaster? I realized halfway building them that I could, but it's fine this way. Whoops, I'm out of money again. I'll just build a proper looping coaster somewhere. Oh, I think the guests aren't paying for this anymore. There we go, that's better. Oh, they're also not paying that? Wait a minute, oh, it didn't change. There we go. I want to buy all the land. Oh, actually, we should, by the way, open this and charge. So the hardline is so terrible that it's the only coaster type that doesn't start at a base of 2. It starts at a base of 150. Which makes no sense, because any hardline you can charge at least 2 for. Well, unless you also charge for the entrance, then not, because it gets divided by 4, you know, all that kind of stuff. But the same goes for some juniors. Like, the hardline doesn't have terrible stats compared to something like the junior coaster. The intensity still contributes. Okay, I think I've bought all the land. Now it's time to build some more coasters. Also, we are at the current soft gas cap limit, and let's see, are we? Because this one contributes twice as much, so that's another. Well, we don't get to 1,000 organically yet, so I don't know what the actual limit is. Do we? Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those, so that's 520. Plus 100 probably is 620, 640, 710. No, we only get to 745 naturally. So, but yeah, I think we've reached a soft gas cap. Now, of course, we get some extra. We get another 200, so that's 845. No, wait, 945, then another 240. So that would be 1200. No, 1185. Another 70 from this, so it will be 1255. Well, it looks like it's actually 12. Oh yeah, that checks out. It checks out 12.55. So it looks like I calculated it properly. Because we're fluctuating around 12.55. Now we're going a little bit higher, but then we're going lower again. Of course, the gas generation is only divided by 4, so you can still get higher if the gas stay in the park. So sometimes you do, but it actually gets divided by 16 because it's harder gas generation. Maybe it's a little bit higher than I calculated. Oh, of course it is. Stalls! So that's another 15, 15, 15. Another 50 in total. Oh wait, plus the cash machines. No wait, hang on. So this is 5. 6. So that's 90. These are all 5, I believe. So it would be all 115. So that would be 1370. No, it was not 12.55 at all. Let's see if it plateaus at 1370. Maybe the cash machine or first aid thought was like 15 instead of 5, but I believe it only does 5. I'm curious. Oh, name a road of your choice. Name the hard line, fart line. Best joke ever. Okay, it looks like we're struggling to get much above 1320. We are rich boys, though. We're all 12. Of course we're all 12. I mean, I have spent many hours looking up rude speed skating names. You know, speed skaters with rude names, just for the fun of it. And one of the best... What's the rudest name that you could find? Well, if we're going into English, maybe Dick Cock. Which was, I believe, a Dutch speed skater. There was also one, an Estonian speed skater by the name of Birgit Pik. Now, that might not seem rude to English people, but Pik is Dutch for dick. And the funny thing is, she's Estonian. And you know what Pik means in Estonian? It means long, which is very appropriate. Also, there's another Estonian speed skater called Laser Cut. And cut is slang for vagina. Which is great. And laser, literally spelled laser. The U does have an umlaut on it, but other than that, it's exactly that. This is great. Of course, in Estonian, it's not rude at all. But it's still funny. I've recently learned that the name Naaktgeboren comes from the German Nachtgeboren, which means born after the father died. Well, it's still a very unfortunate and funny name. What's your question, by the way, Thardon? Oh, I can actually go underground here. Haha. Nate. Thank you for the follow. Mensch ohne Katze. Does that mean human? Does that mean human without cat? in Le French. French, German. Okay, let's actually have this test. Yep, it does. Okay, so my German isn't that bad. I mean, it's still pretty damn bad. But not that bad. It's not like I can't do any German at all. Okay, I kind of want to get out of underground now. Oh. Need to get a little bit more this way. There we go. There's also a current young Russian skater called Shitnikov. He's not, you know, anywhere near the level needed to participate in like big international competitions. But if he ever does become good enough for that, I really hope his name is going to be pronounced Shitnikov, not Shitnikov. Obviously, in Russian, well, shit is like a very, very well-known English word that might still be known, but it's not a natively offensive word, probably. But still, I can't imagine the Dutch commentators like saying Shitnikov. Oh, shit, the bridge. That's actually quite close to some Japanese names on my list. There's a Japanese skater called Tsuki Oshima, which is almost Oshita. We have a village called the Koksdorp, which means the Cox village. Also, but cock means something different, because it means cook. Although I don't know if it means cook in that situation, because you do write it like the English way. Then again, in English, of course, cock also just means male chicken. So, you know, you have a Cockburn village and whatnot. The Cockney accent. Don't forget about Rectum. Oh yeah, Rectum is great. Which is a village here. And Sex Bierum, of course. Which, yes, you do write like sex, beer, rum. Dang it. There's one tile there that's in the way. Waspik, Lopik, Lopiker Kapel, Waspik Zuid. There's a lot of ones with pik in them. At some point you just, you know them and you laugh about it once and then it's just like right now it's not funny anymore. I play a lot of Just Geoguess and whenever I, get dropped near low pick or whatever, I don't laugh at it anymore because I've seen it time and time again. I don't think this one is long enough yet. I might do some extra helixes. We changed the name of Uranus back in the 23rd century to put an end to the stupid joke. Just say Uranus. Of course, there's that great joke in Harry Potter where Lavender Brown asks Professor Trelawney, I think, whether she's looking at Uranus, and then Harry says, or Ron says, "Lavender, can I see Uranus too?" And he starts dating her 2 years later. Hang on, Chinese dragon in the way. How tall is that scenery item? I'm clearly miles above it. Dang. It's funny because that joke about Uranus with lavender and Iran, it doesn't translate into Dutch because Uranus, like, yeah, anus is anus in Dutch as well, but ur is not your. So that doesn't translate. So they didn't literally translate it, but instead they changed it to something, if you translate to English, means something like Lavender would be asking Trelawney something like, what kind of heavenly object is this? Or heavenly body, like, you know, like object in the sky or whatever. What kind of heavenly body is this? And then Ron asks, oh Lavender, can I see your heavenly body too? Should be hemellichaam. Yeah, I would translate that to heavenly body, except the fact that that doesn't really isn't really used in English. Hemellichaam is like the proper term for like either a planet or a star or a comet. Celestial body, yes, thank you. That's the word. Okay, how can I get out of this properly? I think if I just do that. Which Harry Potter version do you prefer? Definitely the books. Where's the screw J.K. Rowling option? Where is the can we just discuss Harry Potter instead of having to make it about J.K. Rowling every time option? Like, seriously, yeah. She may not have, you know, she may have some political stances I don't agree with. And she, you know, makes that loud and clear on Twitter sometimes. But she still made a great work. Like, I don't have to be a fan of her political stances to appreciate Harry Potter. It's not like she killed a guy. And I hate it that, you know, very often when Harry Potter is brought up, someone has to bring up the fact that, ooh, J.K. Rowling bad. Name the park. What do you want to name it? Also, I don't think I ever saw your geography question. Therion. Did I miss it, or did you never ask it? I don't think you ever asked it. How about Satan's dream for the park name? Alright. Let's first test this. I hope it's long enough. Sometimes it's just hard to separate the art from the creator. I mean, if you find it hard in the case of J.K. Rowling, then you must find it hard with most artists. Satan's dream. This park is not that bad, though. I like the world of Harry Potter, but I do not like some of the choices in the later books and how it all went. Especially who got together with whom. I mean, that's just a criticism of Harry Potter, which is, you know, entirely valid if you're discussing that part of Harry Potter. But if we're discussing Harry Potter and someone has got to say, ooh, J.K. Rowling doesn't like trans people, then I'm like, that doesn't have anything to do with the discussion, and you're just trying to stir up drama. Which you actually succeeded in, because I'm talking about it now. Let's build another coaster. Wait, actually, let's first see if this one is long enough. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna re-enable the drown a channel point, drown a guest reward. So have your hands on the buzzers. Let's see who can be the first to use it. I'm going to enable it in 3, 2, 1. One and a half. It's 1 3/4. First guest. Alright. Oh. Whoops, look at those stats. It is long enough though. Okay, drown the first guest that's still in the park. Guest 41. Bye-bye. J.K. Rowling said that before toys were introduced to the Wizarding World, they just shed in their robes and vanished. I believe technically not in their robes, just on the floor. Also, she didn't tweet that. Pottermore tweeted that. I don't know if she even made that up. Maybe someone else made it up. But if she did, then yeah, that's ridiculous. I agree. But, like, that's one ridiculous thing she did. She said, if she actually did make that up, along a whole list of great ones. Like, I've made a few terrible videos in the past that I'm not proud of, like my extreme heights tutorial. It worked, but it was kind of a boring way to play. And, you know, some other videos that I'm not proud of. And I've made some other mistakes. But you don't see me. You guys aren't constantly saying, but Marcel, what about that video you made? Where you accidentally provided misinformation or, you know, gave a dumb take or whatever. Like, why are you constantly going on about J.K. Rowling's weird things? This is not even like a bad political take, this is just a weird thing. But you're not doing the same for me. I'm not saying you should do it for me, I just mean you shouldn't do it for her either. Hang on, I shouldn't build this yet. I've still failed this one. I think it's the very last turn, to be honest. The difference is, this is a take about a repressed minority of people. We're not talking about the transgender stuff here. We're talking about... Alright, I can't bank that. We're talking about the wizards used to shit in the wherever they stood and just vanish it comment. Which doesn't really have... Which was made much after all the books were finished. Doesn't really have any bearing on the books. It's just a stupid little thing. You know, you can ignore it if you want to. But why do people constantly need to bring that up? You know, it's the same as, you know, people say Gambon is a terrible Dumbledore, Michael Gambon, and they bring up, you know, Harry, him screaming, Harry, did you put your game in the goblet? Did you put your name in the goblet of fire? He said calmly. Like, yeah, that was a bad choice on the director's part. Also, I do understand it. Because, showing intensity on film is very different than showing intensity in a book. You can't really describe Harry's thoughts. Because Dumbledore asks it calmly in the book, but I believe it's also described in Harry's thoughts that it's very serious. But imagine if just, you know, Harry is walking to there and just Dumbledore asks, oh Harry, did you put your name in the goblet of fire? Then we would all be like, oh, this is not that serious, right? But, you know, let's say that is a complete mistake. That's still just one thing. Michael Gambon did a lot of great things as a Dumbledore. And it wasn't even his fault, because he's not the director. The director told him to do that. I just don't like how in all 7 movies Slytherin has no character traits out of magic races. That's not just the movie, that's also the books. That's a very valid criticism. But also, one of the things I don't like that, you know, with the whole trans people thing about J.K. Rowling. I just don't like how people need to bring it up every time we discuss Harry Potter. That's just the thing I want to say. Let me just discuss Harry Potter in peace, please. And not peas like the ones you eat. Although, doing that would be interesting. Sitting in a bath of peas. No, not 20. 10. No, not 100. 10. How close are we to 7? Oh, quite close. I can probably just do this. Let's see, does that... No, that only does 3 100th. Would have expected more, to be honest. I mean, we can very easily do this. Highest mountain in Sweden? Oh, I have zero idea. It's probably up north, somewhere. Other than that, probably like 2,000, 2,500 meters. Something like that. Honestly, I don't know. Okay, how many cows do we have now? 1, 2, 3, 4. We still need 5. Well, I can't talk. 6 more. Which is that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. Let's start with this one. Avatar, also known as Dances with Smurfs. No, not that Avatar. The Last Airbender. I don't care about the blue people. Oh, I already started building this one, that's right. Let's continue this one then. Okay, so it's 2,096 meters, the Kebnekaise in Sweden. So I was pretty close with my... You know, it was in my range I specified. I've actually never seen the blue Avatar in cinema. Or at all. Are the mole people blue? Depends on the kind. But I still don't like mole people. I had my first kiss during that movie. I remember nothing about the film. That makes sense. Most beautiful park in the country. Good timing. This just about fits. What's the lowest mountain in Sweden? That depends on your definition of a mountain. Some people say anything above 500 meters is a mountain. In which case it would be the lowest hill with a... It would be a hill with a peak that's the lowest but still over 500 meters. And I have no idea. And you don't either. Not by heart at least. I'm pretty sure. Which member of the Ang Gang? You'd say Ang Gang, not gang? Just no. Who do you like the most? Probably Katara. Her waterbending is badass. Okay. I can cheese this. But it's just a bunch of helixes to save time. We have the cash. We have 129k. So who said this was difficult again? According to the creator, this was more difficult than the 8th course of Diyu. But I don't think that's the case. What about Zuko? Well, first spell it correctly. It doesn't have an O at the start. I mean, yeah, Zuko is still better? Why isn't he in the poll? Zuko is better than all 5. Zuko is the second best character in the gang. No, I mean the second best character in the show. After, obviously, Iroh. Or Iroh, to say its proper pronunciation. But the movie, which doesn't exist, calls him Iroh. Nice. Azula was a great character. For a children's cartoon, she was quite complex. I mean, if you go about it like that, then almost all of them are great characters. You know, the entire gang has multiple sides of the personality. Except maybe Suki. She isn't as fleshed out, but she is, you know, quite a bit more of a minor role. So it makes sense. You can't flesh out everyone. But, you know, the 6 main ones, or the 5 main ones. So, of the gang. So, Zuko, Sokka, Katara, Aang, and Toph are all very fleshed out. So is Iroh, and so is Azula. And those are kind of the 7 main characters. Then you have a few more, like Jet, and Suki, and Ozai, who are not as complex, but still fairly, you know, still not entirely one-dimensional. Although maybe Ozai is. And they have a lot of, you know, other side characters. Like Jong Jong, Piandao, Baku, Boomy. The list is very long. General Zhao. Okay, let's see how it does. Isn't the previous avatar basically a main character? No, not at all. Roku is a side character. Ozai is voiced by Mark Hamillsline. Okay, looks like pretty good pacing. Now let's just hope it's long enough. Roku was epic as well. I mean, basically all of the characters in Avatar are epic, with a few exceptions. Like, I'm not as much of a fan of Jet, and obviously some of the small side characters aren't epic just because they're small characters. Yeah, if you think about something like the Duke or Pipsqueak, they're just very minor characters. Kyoshi was a chat, yes, she had an even smaller role. Okay, well, that's another good ride. The King of Amashi, that's Boomy. What qualifies as a main character? Well, I would say that we have 7 main characters, which is Zuko, Azula, Iroh, and Sokka, Katara, Toph, and Aang. What's your opinion on Mei and Ty Lee? Oh, I forgot about them. Mei and Ty Lee could be main characters as well. They're a bit more of a side character though. Like, they're not entirely main characters. They're still fairly fleshed out though. I really like them. The interesting thing is that they have non-bending fighting styles because, well, they're not benders. I don't really have that much space left for still 4 more coasters. Same with Iroh, he mostly supports Iroh, yeah, but Iroh is always on Zuko's side though. Like, Iroh is present in all 3 seasons, although a little bit less in season 3. I think he's definitely a main character. Where to build this? I could just build it like above the junior. Of course, I pick a terrible spot. What about Momo and Appa? They don't really count. Like, yeah, you could call them main characters, but they don't really have character. They're just animals. How dare you? Yeah, how dare I? Do we have... Ooh, 6-seater. I believe the 6-seater is long enough for this shenanigans. Appa had quite a development when he got kidnapped. Not really, though. We just saw him missing Aang. Is that a development? It's certainly a story, but it's not really a development, is it? Yeah, he was just missing the gang and being lonely and being hurt. But he didn't really develop. He didn't like show any character traits. He didn't really have any character traits other than just being the transport of the gang. It's still a great episode, don't get me wrong. Best outlap bet. I mean, definitely Momo. Well, I love the sound when a wooden coaster goes fast. That's a great sound. Also, I might be literally the only person on Earth. I know I'm not, but, you know, for exaggeration. I might be the only person on Earth who doesn't like the Cabbage Man. I don't hate him, I just don't like him either. I'm not a fan of the joke. But most people seem to absolutely love him. Yeah, the foaming mouth guy isn't funny to me either. I fully agree with you. But like I said, I don't hate it either. It's just a bit meh. Which is fine. Like, it's impossible for a show to only have moments you really like. It's not really a criticism of the show, because that would be holding the show to an impossibly high standard. Who's foaming mouth guy? So there is a guy when Aang returns to Kyoshi Island, or first comes to Kyoshi Island, I'm not sure. At least when he returns, or when he thinks they're returning, because Aang is not actually there. There's some guy who gets all crazy and gets foam in his mouth and all that kind of stuff. Then he learns that Aang is not actually there. And he's disappointed. Thank you for the bits, Voodoo. Also, what's up? Ah, both Kyoshi Island episodes had him. I forgot, even though I quite recently rewatched it, like a month or two ago. That doesn't work. Go that way then. Nope. Okay, that works. I have no site to watch it on. wcofun.com. Don't know how legal that is, but that's their problem, not mine. Okay, let's see. Is this long enough? I'm thinking it just might not be. Does the Netherlands have a Costco? No, it doesn't. I think. Let's see. Costco Amsterdam. We do? Wait. No, I'm in Liverpool now. Let's see. International locations. No, I don't think we have any here. You know what I find interesting? You know, Waitrose in the UK is considered a very middle-class supermarket, right? At least that's how I've had people describe it. Several different people. I don't understand that. I don't think in the Netherlands there's really such a thing as a middle or upper class supermarket. Most people just go to whichever one is closest. There's a little bit of it being like, you know, Aldi and Lidl are generally cheap. So, you know, if there's a Jumbo and an Aldi next to each other, which there are in, for example, Bijlen, where I come from, people, you know, poorer people might only go to the Aldi and richer people might only go to the Jumbo. But, like, poor people might still go to the Aldi if you just don't really want to spend as much money. It's not really seen as upper or higher class or lower class. Usually you just go to whichever shop is closest to you, being it a Poys, a Spar, a Albert Heijn, a Jumbo, a Co-op, or back in the day, say 1000, Super de Boer, or Aldi or Lidl. Been a fan of your YouTube videos that finally catch a stream. Well, welcome, blessed by Air Games. Is there a Gandalf here? I can make a Gandalf to drown. There you go. Poys, talking about local supermarkets. There's the Poys is the closest supermarket to my parents' place. The thing is, it's quite a small one, so my mom does most of her shopping there. But once a week, I believe, she does go to the Jumbo. You know, to grab stuff that they don't have at Poys. The Netherlands doesn't really have bulk supermarkets for regular people. They're usually reserved for people who have a business register at the Kamer van Koophandel. Yeah, like buying in bulk, which is a thing that, you know, people apparently do in America, and someone else said at Costco's for that. It doesn't really happen here. Like buying, for example, you know, 10 jars of, you know, 10 jars of vegetables or whatever, something like that. That just doesn't happen. I mean, sure, it does happen, like, probably, but not often. We just buy what we need for the coming day, sometimes for a week. But rarely more than a week? Okay, how do I get out of this mess back to the station? What if I go down? And that way. I normally shop for a week at a time. I rarely shop for more than 2 days at a time. I go to the supermarket probably like 5 times a week. It only takes me about 15-20 minutes in total, and I walk. Maybe a bit longer sometimes, but never longer than 30 minutes. And you know, if it's a bit further away, you're rarely, if you live in a village or in a city, you are rarely more than 10 minutes away from a supermarket by bike. And most people live within 5 minutes of a supermarket, either by foot or by bike. Do we have any rights that people aren't paying for anymore? Probably. Yes. Well, only GigaChat actually. There have only been a few times in my life where I have bought more groceries than at a time that fit in my backpack. At least, you know, for living on my own. If I, you know, did the groceries for when I still lived at home, obviously that's different. Oops, need to move the entrance. Also, it is long enough. High enough excitement. People living in suburbs isn't because the US is big. Because, you know, a lot of the US is empty. And if you live in a city, like if you live in a city of 80k, then that city could be very compact and much more livable than the American suburbs are. But, you know, there's all history behind it and cultural things and whatever. Just watch the YouTube channel, not just bikes. Basically, my favorite thing to say about that is because the Netherlands is so focused on biking infrastructure and pedestrian infrastructure and all that kind of stuff and public transport, driving here is better than driving in the Netherlands. Driving here in the Netherlands is better than driving in the USA. You know why? Because our roads are actually maintained exquisitely well. But also because there are much fewer people on the road. We don't need roads that are as wide. It's just better for everyone. What stats does the wooden coaster have? Well, currently there aren't any stats. Oh, there are. It's already been tested. XI will be about 8. Oh yeah, and the traffic light timing is much better as well. So 837 excitement. And 987 intensity. That's pretty good. Three more coasters. One of them I can just build on top of everything, which is the air-powered coaster. So let's go for the compact inverted coaster. Everything except the gas prices are better in the Netherlands compared to the USA. If you're around driving, yes. Probably. Americans can't be trusted with a highway with no limit. We don't have that here either. Like, that's a German thing, not a Dutch thing. We can go 100 kilometers per hour on our highway and 130 between 7 PM and 6 AM on most highways. Most Americans can't be trusted with a car. Yeah, but that's just because American driving education is shitty. Our driving education is both expensive, I paid almost $2,000 for it, and extremely high quality. I had about 40 hours of lessons with a qualified instructor from a qualified driving school. And during the exam was about 30 minutes long, driving, or maybe even an hour? I don't know. It was either 30 minutes or an hour. Driving in all kinds of situations. Having to do 2 special maneuvers, which is something like either parallel parking or a stop or something like that. But it was 45 minutes. Well, it was probably 45 minutes. And like, you're not allowed to be taught by your parents. I find that ridiculous that in America you're allowed to be taught how to drive by your parents. Like, who says your parents are good drivers? Who says your parents are good instructors? Who says you have parents? But, you know, excluding that, like, no. Yeah, you paid 45, drove about 500 meters and got a license. That's way too easy. It's just stupid. And a lot of people fail here as well their first time. Which makes total sense, because it's quite difficult. I didn't, I just about passed. The problem also is that if you're not allowed to drive in America, then you can't really go anywhere. You know, if you're a teenager growing up in a suburb without any public transportation and without any bike infrastructure, you can't go anywhere on your own. So to get some independence, you need a car. So you learn to drive at 16. Problem is, if you fail, you don't get a car. You can't get a job because you can't get to your job. And you know, that's also why taking away a driver's license is a much bigger deal, because that may cause people to lose their job. And that's a problem. Like, I understand why it's so much easier in America, because if you fail, well, your life is screwed up. But I have a 27-year-old friend who's just taking his driver's license driving test now. He got his first lesson last week. He's 27 or 28. I'm not sure exactly. And he's fine. So, yeah, but that's the problem, of course, with American car-centric infrastructure again. That's not the fault of anyone driving in America who just has to drive. But here in the Netherlands, I mean, my nephew traveled on his own to my granddad. I remember picking him up from the train when he was like 11. And it was like 100, 150 kilometers. He just took the train. And that was absolutely fine. You know, that's quite normal. This is definitely not long enough. I think I'm gonna try to put in some helixes. First, let's go up. Yeah, it's not very compact. That's fine. Whee! Oh yeah, the massive pickup trucks in the USA are also stupid. Like, what do you need it for? Your massive pickup truck. You know, when I bought a big chair, we just put it in the backseat of my mom's car. The boot couldn't, or the backseat, the boot. It couldn't close, the boot lid. I just got some rope, we tied it down. And then we just drove it to my place. And she didn't even have that big a car. It was fairly on the large side for the Netherlands, but on the small side for America. And if it was too big, we just have it delivered. And yeah, if you need a pickup truck, you need a pickup truck. Like, pickup trucks have genuinely, you know, good uses. If, for example, you like mountain biking and transport your mountain bikes every week to a trail somewhere, yeah, you know, have a pickup truck. But you don't need, like, a massive Dodge Ram to do that, even. Or even better, have a van. People here have vans, not pickup trucks. Generally. There's something better than trucks. Oh yeah, it's about vans. I mean, sure, there are definitely times where the pickup truck is the most optimal. You know, pickup truck is generally better for off-roading. So, yeah, there are genuine, you know, use cases for pickup trucks. You don't need, like, a super high lifted one, like the Dodge Ram 150 or 450 or whatever. I'm not very well versed in all those, in those exact models, but you don't need any of that. You just need a good, compact pickup truck. I have never driven anything larger than my mom's car, which was on the larger side. It was a Mazda 6. So you can look it up how large it is. Let's see how many models there are. Let's see if you just Google Mazda 6. Okay, there are a few different models. When I just Google Mazda 6, I don't get the right model. Ah, there we go. Is it called the Mazda 6 Occasion? No, I still don't get the right model. It was the one with a tall back. Not like sedan. I believe like sedan is where you have like a low back. 6 wagon. Maybe, let's see. Yeah, that looks like it. We had a blue one. She has a much smaller car now. She has a Mazda 4 now. No, Mazda 2, I mean. Yeah, Mazda 6 wagon was... It was a great car. But that's the largest car I've ever driven. And that's also, you know, most people have a car that size or smaller here. You know, if you don't count vans. Okay, how many speed do we still have here? Probably still quite a bit, so I can probably go up here. Yeah, moving vans, like, well, if you... I don't know how large specifically a moving van is. I don't really know what a moving van specifically is, but, you know, if your typical white van is outside of trucks, the largest vehicle you would see on the road here. Is this in the... Oh, I can go into there, actually. Neat. Oh. I'm there. Oh, that's only a 24. I thought it was 33, but I mixed that up here. What are the scenario rules? We need 10 coasters with 7 excitement, at least 600 meters long. No, at least 1,000 meters long. This is not aligned. Does this work? Yes. Oh, I need an entrance and an exit. It's like a box truck. It's like a U-Haul. U-Haul. I would consider that a truck, not a van. You don't see that very often here. It's a bit in between. Also, I'm absolutely shocked by car prices. Apparently, the average car price, like those Fords, like those Dodge Rams, you know, those massive pickup trucks, they go for like 80k. Whenever I see people on Reddit talk about prices of cars, they always are like, you know, you could get a cheap one for 30k. I'm like, what? My mom bought her Mazda 6 new and it was 30k. That was expensive. It was quite a luxury car for the time. It's a big car as well, so obviously it's expensive. That's 30k. That's like on the upper range here. Of course, it's like a Tesla is more expensive now. But like you could easily get like an old second-hand car for like 5k here, a small one. Like, I saw somewhere on Reddit that the average price for a car sold in America is 47k. That's, like, on the very upper end of what most people are spending here. You know, I could easily buy 2 cars now with what I've saved up, because you can get a car for just a few K here if you buy, you know, like a small hatchback second-hand, you know, from like 2010 or something. And they'll be fine. They'll not be luxury cars. Not be very big, but they'll be fine for someone who's living on their own. I don't want to. I don't have the parking spaces here. I don't have the need for a car, let alone 2. Yeah, I've never heard of buying a car with a loan. That's just... It definitely happens here, like, especially if it's like a company car, like a van or something, but it doesn't really happen very often here, as far as I know. Buying things with loans, I believe, is more a thing in America anyway than here. And of course it can be very good as an investment, especially if you have a company. Now companies definitely still do it here. I don't know how much, but they definitely still do it. Because starting a company is expensive, so using loans for that makes little sense. Oh yeah, a credit score isn't a thing here as well. That just doesn't exist. There is some kind of way that they look at how trustworthy you are by... You know, do you pay more? Did you, I don't know, pay your previous loans on time or whatever? You know, but like I've heard that not having a credit card in America and using a debit card instead hurts your score or something like that. And you know, you need to use your credit card to give up your score. That's always baffled me. We mostly use debit cards. I only use my credit card for things that I need to use it for where I can't use a debit card or use Ideal. Albert Heijn doesn't even allow credit cards. Oh, I know Jumbo does. I've used my credit card in Jumbo a few times because it was easier to reach than my debit card. It's ultimately the same for me anyway, because you know, okay, I'll pay I'll pay for it at the end of the month instead of immediately, but that doesn't make a difference for me because I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. So whether I'm paying for my groceries now or in a few weeks, that's the same. What do you do outside of YouTube, Twitch? Nothing. YouTube and Twitch are my life. Nah, just kidding. I play a lot of GeoGuessr and generally just learn a lot of geography. I love geography. I also put a lot, maybe an unhealthy amount of time into speed skating statistics, watching speed skating, aggregating all kinds of statistics. I have a Twitter account that's followed by a lot of famous speed skaters. Long track speed skating, that is. So none of that short track nonsense. Short track isn't nonsense, but other than that, not all that much, to be honest. I mean, I like to play guitar, but it's probably not more than like 30 minutes a day. I don't do that many different things, but I do have 3 hobbies I'm really passionate about, which is, you know, YouTube/Twitch, geography, and speed skating. YouTube, Twitch is your main income. It's my only income. I'm a full-time content creator. Mostly YouTube. And right now, especially YouTube. You know that video I uploaded a few weeks ago? Where I did get that spark out of 17 million dead. That video is doing extremely well. It's currently sitting at about 120,000 views. And the nice thing about that is that it's a longer video and it has several mid-roll ads. Which means it makes me a lot more money than like a 5-minute video with the same amount of views. And I know you might not like mid-roll ads, but I don't care. I need to pay my bills. Don't you still study? Nope. I haven't for about 1.5 years, although I have been slow with updating some of my socials that said I was a student, so. I did update my YouTube about section recently. It might still say it somewhere. Does it still say it here on my Twitch? I don't know. You're starting getting your videos in my feed in the last 7 days. Yeah, my most recent videos are both doing very well too. Which are the one about the train crossings and the one about the killer entrance. What did you study? First astronomy and then AI, but I quit both for different reasons. You know, my Asperger's played into it. You know, several different reasons. Some I'm willing to talk about, some I'm not. Can we have a lava boat hire? No, we cannot. Do I even have a boat hire? I do, but I don't want to build one. I'm talking about how people go on a debt because there are people who live paycheck by paycheck, can't even afford it. Oh, that's a discussion I'm not involved in, so I can't really comment on it. But yeah, there's a lot of Americans living paycheck to paycheck. There's also quite a few Dutch people living paycheck to paycheck, so it's not all sunshine here. I have a burning interest for astronomy, but not going to study it. If I wanted it, I would need to give up quite a lot of what I have right now. Yeah, and studying astronomy is also a lot of math and physics. It's not just studying the stars. You need a lot of background to be able to actually do all these calculations and stuff. I don't know if it will even make this. Probably will though. Thank you for the follow, Jelly John and GS Sword and Tradesco. Never out of your choice. Let's see, what did you name your most recent roller coaster? Lava boat hire. I get what I want. Alright. Sure. I like the creativity and the determination. Alright, see ya, Azuma Dalo. Also, studying here is quite cheap. So, you know, if you get like study financing from the government, and if you finish your degree, you don't have to pay it back. At least in the system I was in. It's different now, but in the system I was in, it's like that. However, I started 2 studies and finished neither, so I have to pay it back. So, I did about 3 years of astronomy and about 2 years of AI. No, 3 actually. How much do you think I need to pay back? You know, how much do you think it has cost me to study, excluding things like buying books and stuff? Just what I need to pay the uni. 450. Well, it's a little bit more than that. It's not that cheap. It's not like a Nordic country. 10,000, that's close. It's 7,000 in total. Which includes paying back the free public transport I used. Some of it at least. Now, I can pay that back over the next 30 years. So the monthly payment is 45 bucks. So I need to pay 45 bucks a month for 30 years. So that's probably less than Slime gives me in subs per month. I mean, that's about my, you know, that's more expensive. It's a little bit more expensive than my phone subscription. So it's not a lot at all. Which is great. Because it means that I actually have the opportunity to go and do this YouTube thing without having like a 200, 300 a month payment or something like that weighing on my back, even though I failed the study. But failing a study is obviously not ideal, but it happens. There's, like I said, there's many reasons I failed, but it happens, and you shouldn't be screwed over, whoops, for life if that happens. I didn't even connect the enters, and I did. Okay, so it doesn't make it. Interesting. This is not lava boat hire, by the way. This is the red one is lava boat hire. Oh, hang on. I didn't pay attention. I was looking at the chat. Okay, so it's indeed the loops. It's also, now that I think about it, definitely not long enough. Also, are there any rides that aren't making money? No. Even Lava Boat Hire has made money? Oh wait, this isn't Lava Boat Hire. Let's see. I'll stop. I'll intervene here. And then I'll just... Dang it. There we go. And down we go. Ah. Stupid. Okay. That just about fits. What's your favorite kind of soup? The mustard soup that my mom makes. There's no better soup. Well, maybe there is. Maybe Snert. Although that's so thick it's barely soup anymore. Snert is pea soup. But it's pea soup that's more than a day old. Which means it's very thick. Like, so thick you can probably stand a spoon in it upright. Wait, you don't know mustard soup? What do you mean you don't know? Is that not an international thing? Like, it's not like... Mustard soup isn't like a weird thing only my family does. It's a thing you can get, like... If a restaurant offers soup, there's a decent chance they'll offer mustard soup as one of their options. Like... Dutch people, please tell me that you've heard of it. Like, it's a very normal thing here. I never knew that. What? It tastes like mustard? I mean, somewhat. It's not... It doesn't literally taste like, you know, liquid mustard, of course. It has a hint of it. Usually it has a little bit of bacon in it. Yeah, leek as well. Heavy green mustard, garlic. I believe that's basically it, yeah. It's absolutely fantastic. Did you just research a recipe or like a Wikipedia page? Like, you should definitely try to make it. It's great. It's my favorite kind of soup. Oh, we still barely make it. I don't think we're gonna make all of them. Oh, we are. Good. Is it like whole grain brown mustard or some sort of spicy mustard? I don't know. I've never made it myself. But, you know, Google definitely has some recipe. What's the goal here? Get 10 coasters with at least 1,000 meters length and 7 excitement. We only need one more. Assuming this one is exciting enough, which it probably is. Why is this extremely difficult? It isn't. I thought it was gonna be. Because it was described as extremely difficult. If I Google mustard soup, it comes with the words Dutch attached to it. Lol. It's funny, because I had no idea. I just said mustard soup, and I would expected everyone to go like, oh yeah, that's fair, or oh, you know, my favorite is tomato soup or whatever. I wouldn't have expected like, what's that? That's wildly interesting. Okay, this is good enough. On to the next one. That's so cool. Okay. Now I need to make this 1 kilometer long. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go this way and keep it flat for a while. And of course it doesn't fit, because stupid land we don't have. Hang on, why? Or can we actually buy this? Where's the entrance? There it is. Nope, we can't. For some reason we can buy those 2 tiles. The end of that hard line. Yeah, I had to make it longer. So that happened. Why does the soup have to be a day old? So, if it's fresh, it's just pea soup. If it's more than a day old, it becomes thicker, and in my opinion, tastes better. It becomes snared. Now, I don't really know why we do that, or how that came to be. Is it cold? No, you reheat it. Would you like store it in the fridge overnight or whatever, you know, to make sure it doesn't spoil? Your voice seems similar to me. Do you used to play under the name Ladineko sometime? No. That is not me. Okay. I need to find a good speed for this. And a good height for the next hill. Okay, that seems like a reasonable speed. Let's see if this is a reasonable height for this hill. Can I still make this turn? Yes, I can. That's a very reasonable height for that hill. Cool. I need to be one lower though. Otherwise I can't make the next hill. Now it's time to get back to ground level. That's one too low. You just gotta love the very Dutch accent. I disagree that I have a very Dutch accent. I would say I have a moderate Dutch accent. I've heard much worse, like much worse than my accent. But what bothers me most if when people say I have steenkolenengels. Which is just not true. Steenkolenengels means bad English. Like where you use a lot of Dutch words in between because you can't really speak English properly. Like my videos have almost perfect English. Live streams a little bit less of course because it's all live and on the cuff, off the cuff, but my videos have almost perfect English. Sure, there's an accent, but the grammar and stuff is about as good as it can be. So that's not steenkolenengels. Try talking steenkolenengels for a minute. Okay, so you know hoe je dat doet. Then going to build the ingang. And then I'm gonna do dit op deze weg. And then here is the ingang queue. Not this road. Yeah, we're gonna do it this road. I mean, I'm having to think about things to say, but yeah, that was basically steenkolenengels, which literally translated is stone coal English. I don't know why we call it that. Why, like, we use stone coal English for bad English. Don't know where it comes from. And that's also, you know, if you say, for example, ik hou van dat. If you translate that literally, it's I love from that. You know, someone might use the literally translate Dutch sentences. Like, ik hou van dat is I love that, but van means from. It kind of disappears in English. But someone who doesn't speak English very well might put it in, because they use the Dutch grammar rules for their English sentences. So if you want to hear a very Dutch accent, my favorite example that I know by heart is Tom Scott has a video about the Waterloopbos. I'll just quickly find it and link it. And that's a Dutch thing. So yeah, that was a very small segment of it before I could pause it. I don't want to play it because it's not my video. So I don't think that's... Although it is criticism and review. You know what? It's fine. There we go. So this is the accent.
Through a system. That is waterloop in Dutch. Over here we're mostly doing what we call model studies. So basically simulating nature at a certain smaller scale. The whole area started more or less after the Second World War, so around 1950, when there was a big demand for model studies related to the delta works in the southwest part of the Netherlands.
So, you know, the grammar is mostly fine, and what he says, you know, I assume is all true because, you know, he's got the expertise. But that's not Stone Cold English. The English, it's not, you know, it's not as good as my English, but it's still pretty good. It's just a very, very heavy Dutch accent. His pronunciation is still, you know, on the accurate side. He doesn't say like tough when it's like dough or something like that, but or co when it's cough. But he would say cough instead of cough. Something like that. That's just a very heavy Dutch accent. So, by the way, the video, other than that, is great. So now it counts as criticism and review. That must be Margaret's English teacher. Does he have does he have a heavy Dutch accent as well? I don't actually know. By the way, hearing Tom Scott pronounce Dutch words like Oosterscheldekering and NK tegen windfietsen, it's pretty great as well. He got those two words fairly accurate, you know, for an English guy. Hang on, why aren't we passing the scenario? Is one of these not long enough? Is this one long enough? I think it's this one. No, 1800 meters. Damn. 1100. How was your life in high school? Generally pretty good. Yeah, I have some tough times my second and third year, because those times I got diagnosed with Asperger's, and it was probably at the worst. I think general was mostly fine. You know, got bullied a little bit, but not too badly. And I never got bullied about my Asperger's. And yeah, I had a good time. I didn't have too many friends, but I had you know, two very close friends who I'm still friends with today. So yeah, you know, generally it was pretty good. Did I open all of them? Oh, apart from looping. Hang on, I don't have a looping coaster. I'm just missing one. I thought I had them all, but I'm still missing a looping coaster. I don't have one twice, do I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, I'm just missing one. Just missing a looping coaster. Whoops. Yeah, so we're gonna bow this snel. Okay, so then we're going still up. It's funny for the English people or the non-Dutch people who, when I do my Stone Cold English thing, that they can't understand half of it anymore. Good old floating roller coaster, hell yeah. Whee! Time for some inversions. Let's give it a little bit of a different color. There we go, much better. Oh, drink some water 8 minutes ago. Let's go. Did I answer your geography question, Voodoo? I don't know if I did. If not, ask it again. If you still want me to answer it. Oh, I've reached the end of the park. Again. Well, I can still do a small turn. What percentage of Greater London is the City of London? About 0.1. I think it has 11,000 people, and Greater London would be about 11 million, roughly 7 million maybe. So between 0.1 and 1%, right? The City of London is weird. It's like a tiny area in the center of Greater London. Or center of London, or whatever you want to call it. Oh, you were thinking land area, but the answer is the same. Yeah, that makes sense. I would not have known land area though, but yeah, I probably would have guessed somewhere around there, because I know it's tiny. $8K in the City of London and 9 million in Greater London. Okay, so slightly less than 0.1% even, but you know. Close enough. I would count that as a win. Let's see if it makes all this. Yeah, looks like it does. And air-powered vertical coaster is in the way. Fantastical! My favorite bit of Tom Scott trivia is that he once ran for office in London in a pirate costume. In 2010, right, as Mad Captain Tom Scott. I obviously wasn't there for it, because I wasn't following British politics in 2010. But I really like that as well. It's just great. The fact that he does like random stuff like that's fantastic. Yeah, these air-powered vertical coaster supports are absolutely massive. That's why I wanted to build it last. I accidentally built it second to last, but yeah, they're way too big. Oh darn it. Now the Woody's in the way. I love that Jay Foreman uses the Wikipedia page of a result that election in one of his videos. Oh yeah, Jay Foreman is like the king of inside jokes and stuff like that. Jay Foreman is such a specific brand of humor. I don't really know how to describe it. And I don't know anyone who's like it. But it's fantastic. I wouldn't really call it just dry humor. There's something about Jay Foreman that I haven't seen anywhere else. And it's great. And we're back. Now, is this long enough? That's the question. Okay, now let's connect this somewhere. Right there. We don't need to connect it, we can just open it, but you know, for completeness sake, I do like to connect it. And assuming that that is long enough, this will be the final park. Doesn't look half bad, wasn't as difficult as I expected. I was hoping for a little bit more of a difficult park. Speaking of highly specific comedians, any opinions in the chat about Eric Andre? Never heard of him. So, no, I don't have an opinion. Okay, it is long enough. I'm assuming it will be exciting enough as well. I mean, I put 3 inversions in. How often does the game check the wind condition? I believe someone said, I believe it was Hey There I'm Dead, said that you win these kind of scenarios the frame after these stats. You get these stats back, which is obviously not true here. Maybe that was in Roller Coaster Tycoon 1. But maybe it was just the end of the day. I think it just checks it at the end of every day. At least for like the pay back your loan scenarios, I know it's the end of every day. It's not the end of every day. That's not true. It's almost the end of every day. It's the end. It checks it 32 times a month. Which is very close to the end of every day. But it's slight, you know, a month at 30 or 31 days. And it checks it 32 times a month. So it gives the appearance of checking it once a day. But in fact, it actually, the day has nothing to do with it. A day in Roller Coaster Tycoon has nothing to do with anything really. Like the way this day is displayed is it's just taking the number of month or the number of ticks that have passed, and then dividing it by some value and seeing what you get, and then, you know, rounding it down. That's all there is to it. Apart from, well, you do get like payments here at the end of certain days, because that's how the weeks are done. But other than that, the days don't really do anything. It's all in terms of months. Another drink might be in order. Yes, that will be the very last bit of my water. Thank you. Okay. And that is the second coming of the 8th court of Diyu. Which was fun to play, but not as difficult as I expected it to be. Which I'm a little bit disappointed by. Okay, this looks like a Dutch streamer who's... Ooh, a big streamer. Katie Peters Plays is playing Roller Coaster Tycoon with about the same number of viewers as I currently have. Slightly more. So thank you very much for watching this. How hard was the first court? I haven't played it, but probably hard. Well, no, the original 8th court of Diyu I haven't played, but it's probably harder than this. Thank you for watching. I will see you on Wednesday. I hope you have fun at Katie's stream. And yeah, see you later. Have a good night. Bye bye.